Start now. This is a very interesting topic. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about the class 10 science chapter 15, our environment. Okay, so in
Yes,
this
sir.
chapter we will discuss that what our environment consists of. That is the first thing. Okay, and how the different things in our environment actually works, how the different the energy flow happens in our environment, and then in the end we will discuss that how we human have started disrupting that. Okay, what are the petty things that we have started doing with our environment, and how it is harming our environment, and what are the effects that we are seeing because of that. Okay, so basically what we are doing, we are playing with our nature. Okay, we are doing all the activities which can harm the nature down the line, and that is dangerous. Okay, and one of the danger we are currently facing with. So in this chapter this tells you the fundamental concepts that how this kind of energy flow happens, what are the different species or the organisms, okay, or different kind of elements of the nature are correlated together. Okay, remember we all are dependent on each other. We cannot live in isolation, and we are all are facing the same nowadays. Okay, so we want to go out, we want to enjoy, that means we need somebody to do that. We need the people, we need the things that we want. So our reliant on others is a very very important for our survival, and environment play a major role in that. So it is our moral responsibility that we should maintain our environment as it wants, as it should be, not what we want. Okay, if we keep on doing what we want, then we will see some sort of a catastrophic changes, and that we are currently seeing. So this chapter is a very fundamental to understand. Okay, and we are learning this at a correct time when we all are basically jailed up in our houses. Let's see.
Yes.
Okay, so we will start. Now the question comes, uh, what is the meaning of environment? Okay, so what do you think, what is the environment is? Any thought on that?
Surrounding.
So what is the environment? So environment is nothing but it is a physical as well as the biological world where we live. Okay, so it has both. It has physical also, like how it represent, we have a different rocks, trees. Okay, so this is basically a physical world which is non-living things also, buildings, rocks, monuments, mountains. And biological world, biological world means all the kind of living organisms. Combining of this we call it is our environment. Okay, so question comes, what the environment contains, what are the things it has. So environment contains our physical surrounding like air, that is atmosphere, water bodies. Okay, all kind of rivers, ocean, ponds, soil. Okay, the land, lithosphere basically, and all kind of organism that we can see, plants, animals, human beings, microorganisms, bacteria, fungi. Okay, and decomposers, what are those, we will discuss all of them. But all the living as well as the non-living things combining, we call them as an environment. That is our environment. So all the constituent of the environment are dependent on one another. We cannot live in isolation. So all the constituent of the environment interact with one another, and they try to maintain the balance in the environment in a natural way. And we will see down the line how this balance is maintained in the environment. And that balance is the key. If that balance is disturbed, you will see lot of changes is happening. Our survival will be in danger. Okay, so environment play a major role. this balance need to be maintained. The interaction between all these physical as well as the biological world is the key, and the balance between them is the key. Okay, so if you see, human beings are the only organism who change the natural environment. We are the only people. Other people, so if you see the animals and other things, they don't make their houses like we make. They will just stay wherever they get for an example, if you take a dog, there are whatever the shed that they got, they will just stay there. But what we need basically proper house. We need the food, we need the clothing, transport, industry. It is the we who change that environment. Sometimes uncontrolled activities of the human beings are damaging the balanced and healthy environment more and more. And Bangalore is the classical example of this. Before 20 years, there were more than 200 lakes were there in the Bangalore. This was called the city of lakes. And now you can see it has become the city of garbage, city of concrete, city of traffic. Okay, and it is we only who are doing that. So a human is the only organism which is there which does all these things. Okay, so now the question comes, in this there are two kind of wastes happens. Okay, so one is the waste is biodegradable waste. So whatever the activities that we are doing around us, we produce a lot of waste. So there are two categories of waste. Okay, the first one is the biodegradable waste and another is the non-biodegradable waste. Now the question comes, what is the meaning of biodegradable? So those waste material which can be broken down to non-poisonous substance in the nature in due course of time by the action of microorganism like bacteria are called biodegradable waste. What is the meaning of that? For an example, if you have a certain kind of waste, let's say food waste, you took a food, okay, food waste. After every day, like we throw some sort of a food in the garbage, this food waste, let's say if you dumped inside the soil, okay, like in the soil we have our helpers, okay, we call them as helpers. These are the bacteria, microorganism. They try to decompose this because food waste is a complex molecule. Okay, so this complex molecule need to be converted into simpler molecule, and in that our helpers, or we can also call sweepers, helpers, and those names are bacteria, microorganisms. What are those? We will discuss down the line. They convert that and they try to maintain the balance in our environment. If this kind of thing is happening, then we say that that kind of material or that kind
Biodegradable.
of waste is a biodegradable waste. Okay, if that is not happening, for an example, paper is a biodegradable waste, because if you put the paper inside the soil, you will see that paper is slowly getting degraded. Maybe after 1 year there is no paper there, that means it is completely degraded. So if this kind of thing happens, it's a biodegradable waste. So biodegradable waste, it decomposes naturally and does not harm to the environment. We would like to do the activities which should not harm the environment. That is our key, because we are living in that environment. We are living in our house. We will not do any activity, because of that our house will basically demolished. We will not do that. Same thing, we are living in a world where we need to think that we shouldn't demolish this. Only thing, like our perspective need to be changed. Instead of thinking only about the home, we need to think about the nature now. That perspective need to be changed in our mind. That's the only thing, and automatically it will come. That's why we are learning this topic, so that you get some sort of a glimpse that how can we change that perspective. So, what are the examples? Cattle dung. Cattle are the organism, nature. It is found in the nature. That dung, if you see beautifully, that all the things which are happening in the nature, all the waste which all these organisms does, they are automatically biodegradable. That means nature have created all these species, all the things in our environment in such a way that everything is biodegradable. Okay, so if you see the cattle dung, compost is nothing but it is a manure made from decayed vegetable plants, animal excreta, all these are the compost. Other example of biodegradable are animal bones, leather, tea leaves, wool, paper, wheat, wood, hay, cotton, jute, grass, fruits, vegetable peels, leaves, flowers, cakes, all these are the biodegradable. So if we are doing our activities, if we are consuming these, then we are actually supporting the environment. But one of the deadly, so biodegradable based not pollute the environment. Okay, and biodegradable based pollute the environment only when there is a large amount of things is there and that cannot be degraded. Okay, so we will see what are the examples of that. Sometimes lot of populations of that is increased, because of that it can pollute the environment also. That's why the balance is required at that time. So nature have already created that all kind of waste which happens in the nature are biodegradable waste, but it doesn't mean like they can create infinitely all these wastes. Nature have created a system in which all these biodegradable waste get balanced. Like if they are getting created in a similar amount, they will get reduced also. So balance need to be maintained. How all those things we are learning slowly, but these are the two important things that we should know. Okay, now the next thing comes, this is called a non-biodegradable. So one of the deadliest invention that we have done, we call a plastic. Okay, when this plastic got developed or invented, okay, everybody thought this is the miracle we have done. This is the fantastic invention of the entire world. But we realize later that it is the deadliest weapon to the nature. We are killing the nature by this plastic, and that we created. Nature didn't create the plastics. So the waste material that cannot be broken down into the non-poisonous or harmless substance in nature, we call non-biodegradable waste. So the examples of non-biodegradables are DDT, dichlorodyphenyl trichloroethane. Okay, this is basically a chemical which is used in most of our crops so that they don't get the different kinds of bacterias in bacterias
like
or
pesticide.
pesticides basically. Okay, so DDT, it is widely
It's
used.
illegal to use non-biodegradable
So
so, pesticides,
yeah,
right?
so this is widely used DDT, okay, so that they don't get the pesticides and other things that you have learnt already in the class ninth. Plastic, polythene bag, ball, ballpoint pen refill, synthetic fibers, glass objects, metal articles like aluminium cans, iron nails, silver foil, radioactive waste, all these are non-biodegradable. Okay, so these are actually they are so they pollute the environment. That is the first thing. Okay, and the problem with this, whenever we create all these or whenever we make all these non-biodegradable products, okay, the thing is like sometimes few of these products are actually toxic. That means if you inhale them, they are poisonous. Okay, only thing like we cannot eliminate that poisonous, otherwise that product will not be produced. Okay, so only thing like what they do, they reduce the toxicity. Okay, so the key thing is like we are creating few substances in the nature which are harmful to the environment. That is the first thing. Which are harmful to us also because they contains little bit of toxicity. We cannot remove that toxicity completely, so we are living with okay, some sort of a toxicity is fine, but still we are using them. So harmful for us, harmful for the environment. both way, but still we are utilizing them. Okay, non-biodegradable waste cannot be decomposed by our sweepers called bacteria. So if you put all these plastic, it takes 1,000 years, 3,000, 4,000 years to decay some amount only. That's why you see a lot of plastic you are seeing in the ocean. There is a lot of campaign going on from the government. Reduce the plastic, reduce the plastic. Okay. Single use plastic has been completely banned, but people are not changing their habits. Okay, so they are not realizing that we are harming actually ourselves, because down the line you will see like all these things coming back. DDT, okay, we discussed it's a non-biodegradable waste. How this happens? This is a perfect example. DDT is a non-biodegradable waste. We put this on a crops. Now what happens? These crops we only take finally. So this DDT will come through crops into the men and animals and the bird and will harm them finally. So you are removing all the insecticides, pesticides from the plants by putting all these non-biodegradable wastes, and finally you are only inhaling them. It is harming you. That's why this DDT has been banned in most of the countries. You are not allowed to use. Okay, but India we still use that. Non-biodegradable waste are the major pollutants of the environment. Okay, lot of pollution happens because we would like to reduce this waste. So plastic burning is happening in most of the local places you see. Because of that you get a lot of toxic gases, lot of gases, chemicals get go inside the soil. It harms the soil as well as the environment. Okay, for an example, discarded plastic articles, glass articles, metal objects are non-biodegradable waste material which cause a lot of pollution in our surrounding. Okay, so now the question comes, how to identify? As a science student, we would like to know if some object is given to us, how we can say it is a biodegradable, it is a non-biodegradable. Because now like you can say like I can see the labeling on that, it is written, but let's say the labeling is not there. Okay, and you are the first person whom that typical kind of material is given. How do we identify? Is there any test is available for that? What do you think? Do we have any test? How do we type? How do we identify? How do we identify whether any kind of waste is a degradable or is a or is a non-biodegradable? Okay, so what the government has done, uh, like all these scientists, they have listed down all the materials that we consume. Okay, so I will tell you a simple test. Okay, let's take what the scientists did. They took all those pieces of materials and then they dig all those in a ground 15 centimeter depth, at a 15 centimeter depth approximately. Okay, and then we cover them with the soil. Okay, and we will we will allow them to remain as it is at least for a month. After that 1 month, what we will do, we will dig up. Okay, and after digging up, what we will do, we will see like whether they have been eaten up or not. If they are getting eaten up within a month, that means our microorganism, our sweepers are actually working on that. They are able to decompose them. That means it is a biodegradable. If they are not able to decompose, that means it's a non-biodegradable. Simple. So because the problem
No,
is,
but for everything that exists.
okay, so let's, because the problem is whether it's a biodegradable or non-biodegradable is dependent upon microorganism. If the microorganism can degrade them, okay, or can decompose them, then we call it a biodegradable. If they cannot, then it is not. But the problem is we cannot ask the bacteria, hey, can you decompose this material? That's the problem. We cannot ask them. They don't speak. So only thing is like we will create that environment. We will put those bacteria and we will see whether they can eat them or not. If they can't eat, that means it is not. If they can, then it is yes. So that's the small test we do for all the material. And then once we do that, okay, after doing this, we list down, yes, this is biodegradable and this much time it takes. So government or the scientists have created a list. In that list, they have told, okay, this material will decompose in this time. This material will decompose in this time. This material will decompose in this time. So there is a properly documented list is there which the scientists have created based on several experiments like this. They dig it and they will see. Okay. So for an example, we will take here we take a piece of paper, piece of old cotton and the plastic bag. These are the three items we took. We digged it inside our earth, okay, in the soil, and we covered it with the soil. And we were waiting for a month. Okay, let's see whether that can be decomposed or not. So this is our observation. We find that piece of paper and the piece of cotton cloth have been partially eaten up or decomposed, but the plastic bag is remain unaffected. It is not eaten up. This was the observation. So from this we can conclude that the paper and the cotton cloth, okay, they are the biodegradable, whereas the plastic is non-biodegradable. Okay, so these are the simple tests that we do.
Ready for job interview.
Okay, so these are the simple tests that we do to identify whether any kind of waste is a biodegradable or non-biodegradable. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Okay, fantastic. So now, any thought like why some materials are biodegradable and why others are non-biodegradable? Any thought on that? Why it happens actually?
so because the man-made substances are complex in nature, which the bacteria and the soil can't decompose.
Okay, so yeah, this is one of the reason. That's correct. Okay, but if you see like yeah, so that's a correct basically. If you see the microorganisms like bacteria and other decomposers, okay, which help, these are our sweepers basically. We call them as a saprophytes. We will discuss them in much detail down the line. They are present in our environment and they are very specific in action. They will do whatever is whatever is asked them to do, whatever the reason for which they are living. They will not do anything else. Okay, now what they do, they break down the natural material or the products made from natural material, but do not break down man-made material such as plastic, because the plastic is actually the complex material, whereas all these natural material, they are the very simple molecules. It can be easily broken. That's the main reason. So it is the property of the decomposer organisms of being specific in action that some waste material are biodegradable, whereas others are non-biodegradable. Clear? So now scientists started thinking, okay, can we create some sort of an organism or which can decompose these plastic also? That means, can we create some artificial organisms or can we do something else? Okay, that means what the answer is, yes, you can try, but the problem is again you are playing with the nature. Okay, remember, we should always do our invention. Science should always be utilized for the benefit of the people, benefit of our environment. It shouldn't create some sort of a invention, some sort of a products which is beneficial only to particular community but not beneficial to another community. in that case you will be successful in a short time for sure, but in a long run what you will see, you will start seeing some sort of a problems, because you are just supporting one sort of a community. So that's why
So, but
I
wasn't this helping the nature
no, it is
in
not helping the nature,
decomposing?
because what is going to happen whenever you do biodegrade plastic? Okay, so we have certain mechanism by which we can do the biodegrade this, but even when you do the biodegrade, it is not 100% environmental friendly. Still we get some sort of a toxicity, some sort of a gases which are released in the atmosphere, and we slowly only thing what we have done, we have reduced the speed. Earlier it was creating 100 ton CO2 in a day. Instead of 100 ton we have reduced to 10 ton by creating some sort of invention. Okay, so but so your harmness will reduce, okay, or it will be prolonged, that's it. So you were supposed to get harmed tomorrow, instead of that you will be harmed by 1 week. Ultimately you are getting harmed. So we shouldn't do all these kind of activities which can harm this. For an example, as of now, this virus which is killing all of us, okay, so there are theories going on whether this virus came actually from the animal, or this was the some test from the laboratory which got viral. So these are the theory, we don't know what is truth, but still possibilities are there, because sometimes on the when you are doing a lot of science stuff, you forget the fundamental principle of science.
So it's the lab story only, right?
Pardon?
I think it's the lab one only because it's some biological weapon they were creating.
Yeah,
No.
for which we don't have an evidence, so we don't know yet. Okay, but until unless it is proven by the facts, all these are theories.
Okay.
So we cannot say what is correct, what is not correct as of now. So it's
Yes, sir.
anyway political debate and other things. We will not come into that. So this is the thing. We should always use the shopping bag, carry bag, which are made up of paper, which are made up of cotton cloth, jute, because they are biodegradable. If we are using the plastic because it is very handy for us, we can put in our pocket, but think like that, just because of your little comfort, you are harming the nature and ultimately you are harming yourself. You are not harming in a short term, but in a long term it will can have drastic effect. Your entire generations can go off. So you are actually playing with a double sword. So do not take that little comfort, okay, give off that little comfort, try to utilize the paper, cotton, which are biodegradable. Okay, so this is the thing. Now we will discuss what our environment, what our ecosystem contains, what it is made up of, what it has. So if you see, our nature actually consists of two things: biotic communities and abiotic communities. Okay, we have learnt already about this in your previous classes. Question comes, is there any dependency of these biotic and abiotic in the nature? The answer is yes. Even the biotic also, they are dependent on each other. Abiotic also, they are dependent. If you see, there are various communities of living organism, plant animals, like plants and animals, they interact among themselves. Okay, so we are interacting with all these kind of plants because we are living upon them. If the plant is not there, correct, bring the flowers for us. Animals, so we all are animal, we need interaction. Human is a social animal. And we also need the physical environment like a soil on which we live, air to breathe, water to drink. That means there is a lot of dependency on all these elements. Living organisms interact with one another through their food chains. We will discuss what is that, in which the organism consumes the another organism. We will see down the line how our nature has created the balance in the ecosystem. We have so many varieties of organism, but harmony is required among all these organisms, and how the nature has created that harmony beautifully. So living organism like plant interact with the soil to get essential nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, with air to get carbon dioxide, and also with water bodies to carrying out the process of photosynthesis. In the class 9th we learned plant need 18 elements for their healthiness. Okay, and this were divided into two category: micronutrients and macronutrients.
Macro.
Okay, so we learned this. All these elements are required for the plants to remain healthy. For an example, we also take lot varieties of food to remain to get the healthy things. So various community of living organism like a biotic community like plants and animals along with soil, air and water of that reason form a self-sustaining or functional unit of living world. That means the interaction between the biotic and abiotic. This is a self-sustaining system that the nature has created. So biotic is also dependent upon abiotic. Abiotic is also dependent on biotic. So it's a self-sustaining. That means we are not dependent on any other planet. Our planet is a self-sustaining world. So this we also call the functional unit. Functional unit or the system made up of living as well as the non-living component which is capable of independent existence is called an ecosystem. Clear? So wherever we are have the independent existence. Yeah, so the ecosystem is nothing but basically it is a functional unit, okay, which is made up of living as well as the non-living component which is capable of independent existence. That means these two together, okay, these two together can live independently in one world, okay, or one planet. So and what the ecosystem consists of, it consists of the plants and animals which are the biotic components, and all the living non-living things, for an example soil, air and water. It is the combination of all both of them and the mutual dependency on each other, but interdependency, okay, on the other is not there. Okay. So now the next thing comes that we will see. Yeah, so this is a little definition. If it comes in the exam, how we should write: an ecosystem is a self-contained unit. This is very important word, so you shouldn't forget to write this. It's a self-contained unit of living things. Okay, and these are the example of living things: plants, animals, decomposers, and they are non-living things: soil, air, and water. So it is the basically you can say the mixture of these two things, and in totality it's a self-sustained unit. Clear? And we will see few examples. Now the question comes: in order for this survival, for this ecosystem, you need some energy, because any system cannot live without energy. A dead body cannot move because it does not have energy. Question comes: from where the energy comes for all these ecosystem? Energy comes from sunlight. That's why we pray the sun, because sun is the only planet, okay, or the star which gives us the energy for doing all our activities. If it is not there, our existence will not be there. So ecosystem needs the energy, and the input for that is the sunlight energy for its functioning. What are the examples of ecosystem? Grassland ecosystem, a forest, okay, a desert. These are small ecosystem. Your entire earth is also one ecosystem. This ecosystem I can divide in a small ecosystem also, like whichever I am focusing on. Currently your home is your ecosystem, okay, in which you, your family, okay, are living together and making sure all the basic essential things are there. So your home is actually an ecosystem as of now. Your mountain is also an ecosystem. Pond, lake, river, sea, all these are the ecosystem. They are small
Sir,
ecosystem. Okay.
you
Yeah.
could say that your garden also is an ecosystem.
Which one?
Garden.
Garden. Yes, garden is also an ecosystem. Fantastic. Yes.
Okay.
So any kind of small system which is there, which is self-sustaining. Okay. Even the garden at your house, because generally in our balcony we put many plants. Okay. So that is also an ecosystem. Okay. So ecosystem can be as small as possible and as big as possible. There is no smaller or bigger range. It can go very small to very high, and we will see few example of that. So this you can see it's a pond, small pond. Pond or lake is an ecosystem. The bird pond also includes all the aquatic life. So in this you see there are plants are also there, animals are also there. Okay. And this is because the living organisms are found everywhere. Forest is also an ecosystem because it means physical environment like a soil, air and water, along with the plants and water, plants and animal which occur in the forest. So all the biotic and abiotic components are there. This is also an ecosystem. Okay. In order to have the ecosystem, it is not mandatory you should have only biotic. You should have only a biotic. It can be anything. Only biotic, only a biotic, both. Okay. Anything which is there, I call that is an ecosystem. Now we will discuss the types of ecosystem. What are the types we have? So these type, like nature does not know, we have created for our understanding so that we can learn all our ecosystem into separate category. For an example, science, nature does not differentiate whether this is physics, this is chemistry, or this is biology, or this is math. Nature works accordingly, unanimously, but it is we who have differentiated the science in different branches so that we can learn all these branches slowly in detail. Okay, so that is for our comfort, not because the nature has done that. So this ecosystem we can divide in the four categories. The first one we call desert, grassland, forest, crop field, mountains. These are the terrestrial ecosystem. That means they are land based. Okay, land based ecosystem I call terrestrial ecosystem. Then I have the water based. Water based ecosystem I call aquatic ecosystem. So ponds, rivers, sea, aquarium, all these are called aquatic system. Then most of the ecosystem in the world are natural ecosystem. Most of them we depend still on the nature. Okay, but some of them the man-made ecosystem or the artificial ecosystem. So pond is one of the criteria. You can see in many cities we have created the pond. Pond is like a small amount of water bodies where all the fisheries, other things we have put together. So that is our artificial ecosystem. Your aquarium is your artificial ecosystem in which you put different varieties of fish. That aquarium is not found in the nature. Okay, so these are the kind of ecosystem which are there, which we have categorized to learn them. Okay, so next thing comes, what are the components we have in the ecosystem, what it contains actually. So all the ecosystem are made up of mainly two components, biotic or abiotic, non-living components or living components. So what the abiotic contains? Biotic component of an ecosystem, it is a non-living components. It contains the physical environment like soil, water, air, along with inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen, water, phosphorus, sulfur, sodium, potassium, calcium, and we have learnt already approximately 18 to 20 elements which are there in the abiotic
Yes.
component of the system. Okay, apart from that, we have the physical factor or the climatic factor also considered under the abiotic component. For an example, light. We need a light, okay, for the plants to do the photosynthesis. Temperature. Proper temperature is required for an ecosystem to survive. For an example, the temperature is rising currently in the Bangalore. People are feeling little bit of uneasiness at home. Oh my God, temperature is high. Let's say if the temperature get risen to 50 degrees centigrade, okay, you will basically start dancing naked because you cannot survive that kind of environment. So temperature play a major role. Whether that ecosystem will remain or not, temperature play a major role. If the temperature becomes 80 degrees centigrade, many of us will die actually. Our body cannot sustain the temperature. Similarly, the pressure, if the pressure is low, pressure is high, ecosystem cannot survive. We need a balanced pressure. As of now, we have the 1 atmospheric pressure. Okay, you would have felt like, for an example, if you go on a hilly areas, let's say Himalaya or something, there you cannot do any high energetic activities because the amount of air present there is less, amount of oxygen is less. So if you inhale them, you are not getting enough oxygen for your cells to replenish. So pressure there is very, very less. Similarly, if you go inside the deep ocean, pressure increases. That's why people who go for the deep dive, okay, or they wear the chute. This maintains the pressure. Humidity. We all know humidity. Okay, we don't like the Chennai environment. We don't like the Mumbai environment because there is a lot of humidity in the atmosphere. If the humidity increases too much, it also can put the ecosystem in danger. So all these factor needs to be maintained in a proper balance. Otherwise, the ecosystem cannot survive. Even though these are the non-living items, they are the physical item, they are the climatic factors, but they are playing a major role for the survival of the ecosystem. Okay. Next comes the life component, which is the biotic. Biotic is basically it is a living organisms, all the plants, animals, okay, and there is a dependency on each of them. How? So biotic community generally contains three kind of organisms. First one we call the producers, also we call autotrophs. Okay, these are the plants which can produce their own food. Okay, fantastic creation of the nature that you need not to go somewhere, you need not to call the big basket grofers bring the food for us. They themselves can create their own food. They are self dependent. Okay, and all the green plants we call them the producer. If they are not there in the nature, we will not be there. That means we are dependent on plants, we are dependent on these producers. Okay, so consumer which are dependent on others on food. All the animals are consumers. We all depends on the food which are produced by others. So we all are consumers. We also call them heterotrophs. So we are comes under the heterotrophs. And the third category is the decomposer. Like we always create a waste. Okay. So every organism in this nature create a waste. Now we need a sweepers also so that our environment remains healthy. One is creating the food. Second is eating the food. Third, we need whatever the waste is there to clean that nature. See how beautifully has been designed. So decomposers are your sweepers. They are our heroes in the nature, which consume the dead remains of the other organisms. They balance the nature, balance all the energy level all the food level in the nature. Okay, so we should respect them. Certain bacterias are fungi and decomposers. Okay, we call them as decomposers or saprophytes. We will discuss all of them in detail, what are those, how this thing happens. But biotic component, these three things, and abiotic component, this is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next thing comes that we will discuss how this ecosystem actually works. Okay, so first we learned what is ecosystem, then we learned what it contains. So it contains many of these variety, but how these are functioning. Okay, so that's what we will discuss. We now describe how an ecosystem function as a self-sufficient or independent unit in nature. How this self-sufficiency comes in nature. So, and we have already discussed. So ecosystem contains the two, non-living and living. Now let's see how this thing happens. So first what happens from the nutrient pool of earth. So on our earth we have a lot of nutrients available in the nature. Okay, so like we have the soil, we have the water, we have the air. So these are our places where we get these nutrients. Okay, like we have the supermarkets where we get our food from. These are the supermarket of our nature, from where all the nutrients pool is available. Okay, carbon dioxide and water are absorbed. So carbon dioxide which is present in the atmosphere, water which are present in our water bodies, these two things are absorbed by our producers, we call the green plants. So green plant things like, okay, these are the organism, they went to the supermarket, okay, they took these nutrients, few from here, few from here, and few from here. Okay, and they did the fantastic photosynthesis and created the food. Okay, so these are our frontliners. So with the help of sunlight energy, we got a sunlight energy. Sun is also our one of the resource, one of the nutrient pool. So the producer organism convert all these inorganic substances into organic compound. Okay, so because all these nutrients they are available in the form of inorganic compounds. We have uh, different kinds of metals, different kinds of nutrients like calcium, magnesium, potassium. Okay, all these are available in the terms of nutrients in soil and water. Now what these plants does, they convert finally into the food we call carbohydrates. Okay, so all kind of fruits, vegetable contains the carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, all those. So these are the producers, they trap the solar energy and then provide the basic food or energy for other life forms in the ecosystem. So they are our primary people, primary organisms which are creating the food for other people. Okay, now what happens, we consumers come into the
So
picture. Yes,
it's not only carbohydrates, right?
yeah, we have the carbohydrate is the fundamental thing which acts. Carbohydrate has many varieties, we will discuss those down the line. Okay, carbohydrates,
Okay.
we have the simple carbohydrate, we have the complex carbohydrates. Okay, complex carbohydrate we call starch. Okay, so we will discuss all of them in the life processes in detail. So finally it is a carbohydrate, okay, which is the main ingredients which act as a food. Our 80 to 90% food that we take, whatever the food that we take, doesn't matter, contains carbohydrates. Okay, so now then we animals come into the picture. Okay, whatever the energy which is trapped by all these plants, okay, they are the front runner, we start eating them. Okay, so these are the consumers which eat them. So that energy which are available in the form of uh, organic compounds, okay, like glucose, starch, carbohydrate, we put inside our mouth. Okay, and we digest it from that and we get energy in the form of glucose finally. Okay, so we are getting that energy. Sometimes what happens when the producer and consumers die, okay, so when we die basically or the plant die, okay, if we die basically people will take us, they will put inside the soil, okay, or they will burn us. These are the two criterias. So whenever they burn us, okay, all our things went into the atmosphere, okay, after burning. And if we put inside the soil, we have our sweepers, have our helpers, bacteria, they start decomposing our body, okay. And whatever the element that you took by taking the food, okay, those entire elements finally return back to the soil, water and air, okay. So you producers created the food, okay, so this was the soil, air and water. Treat them, they are your supermarket, okay. So super from this the plants came. Plants basically utilize the sunlight, from the sunlight, and they created a food in the form of carbohydrates, okay. And those carbohydrate is nothing but our fruits, vegetables and all those things, fruits, vegetables, okay. And from this carbohydrate, who took? We consumers took, animals. So that means this converted again in the form of, okay, glucose. So this carbohydrate we digest and we get a glucose in this. And when we die, all these nutrients which were there, decomposers come into pictures. Okay, so these decomposers take that energy and finally give back to all our supermarket. So this balance is maintained. This cycle keeps on going, cycle keeps on going, cycle keeps on going. And that's how the perfect balance in the ecosystem has been created. Whoever has done that amazingly. Okay, so this is our entire functioning of the ecosystem. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now the next thing come. Yes, any doubt?
No, no,
Okay.
no.
Okay. Now the next thing we will discuss all these components which we were discussing in detail. So uh, producers, consumers and decomposers. So these are the three organisms, okay, which are the living organism are there. So if you see the non-living organisms, soil, air and water, we have learnt in the class 9th already in detail. Okay, so we have learned the water cycle. In the air we learned the nitrogen cycle, carbon dioxide cycle, okay, oxygen cycle. We discussed about the soil also, okay. So this we have learned in the class 9th in detail. In this 10th standard we are going to learn about the living organisms, producers, consumers and decomposers, okay. Now the question comes that these three categories have been divided based on the food they obtain from the environment, how they are obtaining the food. So the first comes what is producers. Okay, we will discuss in detail what is the producer, what it does, how the. So these organisms which produce food are called producers. Producers are the organisms which can prepare their own food from a simple inorganic substances like carbon dioxide and water by using a sunlight in the presence of chlorophyll, okay. And we call that is a photosynthesis. And this photosynthesis we will learn in much detail in the life processes, okay, that how the stomata and other things we will discuss in detail. But as of now we will just see that these are our frontliner who creates the food without which we cannot survive in the nature. Examples are green plants, blue green algae. These are our producers, okay. So now what did green plants synthesize their food during photosynthesis? by taking raw material from the earth and the energy from the sun. The green plant produced carbohydrate by photosynthesis and also synthesized proteins and fats. So they are the producers in the living world. Okay. So these producers we also call the autotrophic organism. Autotrophic means they can create their own food. They are the self-feeder organism. If the food is finished, okay, at your home, okay, you cannot survive. You will start calling the 10 people, 10 supermarket, please bring the food for us. But these people, okay, not required. I will create my own food. Okay, so which other organism depends on others? So these are also called autotrophs. Let's discuss about consumers. Consumers, they consume the food prepared by producers. We call them a consumers. Consumers depends on the product producers on the food directly or indirectly. Consumers get their food by eating other organism or their products. Simple words, consumer are the organism that eat other organisms. Okay, so we eat other organism basically. All the animals are the consumers. Doesn't matter what kind we are talking about. Okay, even the mic. So generally, whenever we talk about the animals, we think about bigger animals like us. Okay, dogs, cats, which we can see. But there are few animals which are very microscopic. We cannot see from our eyes, but they are also dependent. For an example, animal life of the water. In the water also we have the animal life, and on the surface of the water there are very small animal life which can only be seen using the microscope. One is called a protozoa. Okay, this is one of the microorganism. We have learned the 5 varieties of microorganisms, and this is one of them. These are the consumer organism. They depends on others. How? We are going to discuss that. So the common examples are man, deer, fish, lion, cow, buffalo. Cow and buffalo eat green grass and other green fodder. Okay, we know that they eat either the grass or the fodder because the green grass and the green plants are the producers of the food. Biomass of the grass and the plants supply food and energy to these animals. So energy basically is coming from the sun. From the sun, it is going to the plants. From the plants, it is coming to the consumers. Okay, so this is the flow of energy that is happening in the consumers. Clear? So you can see, okay, this is a goat, okay, happily eating the grass. So one more thing we should note that consumer organism can, like animals, cannot prepare the food from simple inorganic substances through photosynthesis. Any idea why we cannot produce the food, our own food?
So because we can't perform photosynthesis enough.
Why we can't perform?
We don't
Because
have
we don't have
chlorophyll.
chlorophyll enough.
Fantastic. So the chlorophyll kind of pigment is not there in our body. So chlorophyll trap the sun energy and utilize that. So we can't do that. It is only the plants can only do that. So consumer need ready-made food. Okay, we are the people who depends on others. Ready-made food we need for our survival, whether it's directly, whether it is indirectly. Okay, directly meaning is like we are directly eating, let's say, spinach. Okay, but let's say I am eating a cake. Cake is also made up of certain varieties of food, and that food have been extracted from the plants. So this is an indirect food that we are taking. This is a direct food that we are taking. Whatever the food you take doesn't matter. It is directly or indirectly you are consuming from the plants.
Yes. So
If an animal eat a grass or other green plants or their product itself, we say that it gets the food from producers directly. Okay, so goat gets the food from producer directly when it eats grass. If somebody is taking the food, yes. So if somebody is taking the meat, if somebody is taking the meat, for an example, this. So what is happening? A lion gets a food by eating a goat, which in turn eats the grass. Thus, in this case, lion gets its food indirectly from the grass through goat. So, in between people are your mediator through which you are getting the energy. Consumer
So
organisms.
lion beats the meat.
Consumer organisms are also called heterotrophs. Cannot. Consumer we can further divide into three groups: herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Correct? Now, what are those? Let's discuss in detail. So, if we see, okay, herbivorous, herbivorous is nothing but some animals eat only plants. Those animals which eat only plants we call herbivores. So, for an example, cow. Cow eat only grass, leaves, grains, fruits, bark of the trees. So, cow is a herbivore. Buffalo, goat, sheep, horse, deer, camel, ass, ox, elephant, monkey, squirrel, rabbit, hippopotamus. List goes on, list goes on. So there are many herbivores organisms exist in the nature. Okay.
So hippopotamus is not necessarily a herbivore; it's an omnivore.
Okay. Yeah, but most of the time it takes. So cow is called a cow. Why we call the cow as a herbivore? Because it eat only plants. Okay, whichever the animals eat only plants, we call them as herbivorous animals. So, which get their food eating the producers, we also call them as primary consumers. Okay, so since herbivores obtain their food from the plants, herbivores like cattle are primary consumers. So, this category we will also call primary consumers. Okay. So next one is a carnivorous. Some animal eat other animals. They do not eat plant food at all. Those animals which eat only other animals are called carnivores. So you can see here, okay. So here the lion is eating the zebra. So lion, tiger, frog, vulture, kingfisher, lizard, wolf, snake, hawk. Okay, list goes on. So there are many examples in our nature where these organisms are carnivores. They eat other animals. Okay, and do not please try to label that whoever eats the plants they are good people, whoever eats the animals they are bad people. Don't please label them. It is a nature. We have in the nature all these varieties, and down the line we will see that both are
Okay,
required in the
Sahib.
nature.
Become hard now.
Okay,
You want to stick something there?
so both are required in the nature. If both are not there, then you will lose the balance in the nature. Okay, so do not think like that. Okay, this is good, this is bad. Do not label. So lion is called the carnivore because it depends for the energy only on the meat or flesh of other animals like deer, rabbit, goat, or zebra in this case. Okay. So again,
I'm a carnivore.
carnivore, yeah. So carnivore we can also categorize into two category further. We call small carnivore and the large carnivore. So many of you will be already aware, okay, but because this is a general knowledge, but we are discussing in detail XY. If you see what is the meaning of small carnivore, the small carnivore which feed on primary consumers are called small carnivore. We call them as also secondary consumers. Okay, for an example, a frog, lizard, bird, fox, which feed on herbivores. So small carnivore are those kind of creatures which depends on the other organism who eat only grass, who eat only plants. Those category we call small carnivore. So these are the examples which who eats the other thing, other animals which depends on plants. Okay, so and then comes the large carnivore which feed upon the small carnivore. So these large carnivore will eat the small carnivore also. So if I write in the form of flow diagram, we have the plants. Then we have this plant was eaten by primary consumers. Okay, and this primary consumer was eaten by, this is a primary consumers. Okay, and these we can also call producers. This primary consumer was eaten by, let's say, small carnivore. I also call secondary consumer.
Yes, sir.
And this small carnivore, let's say, eaten by someone else, we call those are large carnivore.
Top carnivores.
Tertiary
Alpha.
consumers.
We can also call tertiary. Okay, tertiary.
So what if they eat each other?
Pardon?
If they eat each other like cannibalistic.
Yeah, so that category we have not discussed yet. Will come. So this is a large carnivore. Here we are discussing from one kind of organism to another kind of organisms. Okay, so a small carnivore, these are a large carnivore. In this comes the lion. Okay, so tiger, birds, prey, hawk. Okay, all these are we call tertiary. Okay, so this is basically the now note that human can be primary, secondary, or tertiary depending upon the food habit they take. Few people only take the plants, then we call primary.
Yeah, vegan.
Correct. Few people eat a small kind of categories like this, then I will call they are small carnivore. Few people eat like this category, then we call they are tertiary carnivore. Okay, so for an example, people in China, they can eat anything. Okay, so so we can call they are the infinitely consumers. Okay, so they can eat anything,
Nice
doesn't
name.
matter. Okay, so down the line we will see this chain, and whatever is the end also they can eat that also. Okay, so now the third category we are discussing is called an omnivores. Okay, what is omnivores? Some animal eat both plants as well as the animal. So those animal who eat both plants and animals we call omnivores. Okay, so the examples are humans. You will see the people, humans eats both plants as well as the meat. Dog, crow, sparrow, bear, myna, ant. Man is called an omnivore because he eats both, like these pulses, fruits, vegetable as well as the meats. Okay, so goat, chicken, fish, and other varieties also. It is not this. Omnivores are also called omnivorous animals. Okay, see in this case, first we are learning the terminology. What is the way all these things have been categorized? What are the different names? And then we will see that how this energy flow is happening. Is this
So,
clear?
so basically, all human beings are omnivores, right?
All
Not
human
all.
beings, not all. there are few are because there are few human beings, they eat only the plants, they are the primary consumers.
Vegetarian.
Okay, so like for an example, I don't eat non-veg, I eat only the fruits and vegetables, so there are many things. So
So are
when,
there humans which eat only non-veg?
Yeah,
yes, which,
China.
yeah, so which come under the carnivore. So we were discussing about the omnivorous. So omnivorous is also called the omnivorous animals. Okay. Now the thing comes that now we were discussing about the only bigger kind of consumers. There are few smaller kind of extremely smaller producers as well as the consumers in the marine world, which we cannot see from our naked eye. But that doesn't mean they don't exist. They exist. Okay, so if you see them, okay, the what are those? These are called planktons. Okay, planktons are a very minute or a microscopic organism freely floating on the surface of water in a pond, lake, river, ocean. These are the producer. You see this green thing? These are the planktons. Now these planktons, they are the producer actually. They take the sunlight, okay, they take the carbon dioxide, they have the water from here, and they create the food. These are the producers. Only thing is like these producers are so small, microscopic, that means in the 10 to the power minus 6 meter in dia, which our eye cannot see. So but that doesn't mean they don't exist, they exist, we call them plankton. Now, plankton are of two types. We call phytoplankton and zooplankton. Okay. So, microscopic aquatic plants freely floating on the surface of the water are called phytoplankton. Okay. Phytoplankton, free floating algae is an example of phytoplankton. So, this is a free floating algae. This is a phytoplankton. You will be seeing this across the any kind of lake that you see near the boundary or sometimes in the middle. These are capable of producing food by the process of photosynthesis. Phyto we call because they are doing photosynthesis. That's why phytoplankton. Okay. Another is basically which micro again microscopic. They are floating on the water. Okay. These are the aquatic animals. Okay, so phytoplankton are the plants, zooplankton are the animals, and these are the free floating protozoa are the examples of zooplankton. You can see like this. These are the smaller, very, this is zoomed at least 10,000 times. Okay, that's why you are able to visualize, otherwise we can't see them. So here if you see the aquatic world, whoever are very fond of aquatic world will be aware of that. Inside the ocean, inside any kind of lake, again we have the entire ecosystem, all varieties of organism exist in that, and those are
Yeah.
much diverse and in much larger quantity than on our lithosphere. Okay, so freely floating protozoa are the example of zooplankton. Very small fish is also a zooplankton. Okay, plankton float near the surface of the water and provide food for many fishes and other aquatic animals. So these are the producers. Now what will
Like
happen?
whales.
Fish will come. Fish will eat some amount of blue green algae. Okay, so this is the food for those fishes. So fish are the consumers and these fishes are nothing but a protozoa. So phytoplankton is the producer, zooplankton is the primary consumers of that. Okay. Only thing is like they are very small, so we cannot see from our naked eye. Clear? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so we have discussed the producers, we have discussed the consumers. Next category comes our friends, sweepers, the world. Okay, so sweepers are we call decomposers. These are non-green microorganisms like a bacteria and fungi, which are incapable of producing their food. They cannot produce their food. They live on the dead and decaying plants and animal bodies and are the consumers of a special type we call decomposers. See how beautifully they have been created. They cannot create their own food. That is the first thing. Okay, but that means whatever the dead things, whatever is the rotten thing, you just throw it. They will live upon that like a poor people. Okay, but still they will help you to clean the environment. How they do that we will discuss. So microorganisms which break down the complex organic compound present in the dead animals like a dead plants animals. So our dead body or the plants whichever is fallen down, leaves or other things, they contains the complex organisms. Okay, so and like we also sometimes do fecus, urine, animal excreta, okay, food waste, all these kind of thing. These decomposer convert into very simple substances, and these are we call the bacteria and fungi. We also call these decomposers are putrefying bacteria. So bacteria which act as a decomposers are called putrefying bacteria, because bacteria are of many variety, but only those bacteria which does the work of decomposers, we call them putrefying bacteria. Like we humans, we all are humans, but out of us there are few humans who help us to clean this world. We call them as sweepers. So we have given the same name, some name to that to identify. That doesn't mean they are the lower categories. Okay, as of now, they are the heroes. So the bacteria and fungi act as a decomposers by the secretion of their body surfaces. So what they do actually, if you see this bacteria, okay, this is magnified 85,000 times. Now on their surfaces, okay, from their surfaces they will secrete something, and whatever the material that comes out, they decompose the organic matter in dead plants and animals into simpler substances like ammonia, carbon dioxide, or any other compound that we get of. They absorb some of these substances, whatever the substance which are coming, they absorb few of them, because they also need energy to do this, no? For their own maintenance,
Yes.
and release the remaining into the soil, water, and air to be used by producers again. See how loyal, they don't cheat. Okay, they do their work 100% efficient with loyalty. So what they will do, if any kind of thing is that is coming to them, they will take a small amount for their maintenance. They will not store or anything, they will utilize them. Okay, and whatever the material that is coming already useless for us, okay, so we will give them the rotten thing, dead thing, they will take that, some of them they will utilize, remaining they will convert this and put again back into the soil, air and water, and this will be further utilized by the plants. Okay, so they are actually our heroes. In this way, the decomposers help in recycling of the material in the ecosystem. Decomposers are also known as microorganisms or saprotrophs. Okay, saprotrophs means which live on the others, which lives on the dead animals or the rotting. We call the saprophytes. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now let's quickly discuss. Let's say the decomposer is not there in the world. What is going to happen? Because for an example, same thing, if I ask you sweepers are not there in the world, what is going to happen to the world?
The world will become
Be very
dirty.
dirty.
That's it.
Then like
Start smelling.
yeah.
More diseases will spread.
No, how will it smell if there's no decomposers? How is it going to smell?
It's going to start rotting, dude.
Okay. Now the thing is like, if the sweepers are not there, okay, we are the shitty people. We always do the shit all the time. Okay, we always try to spoil the world as much as we can for our own comfort. So what we will do, we will make this entire world, okay, like a dirty place, and slowly it will not be livable place. You yourself will not be able to live in this environment, and finally our existence will be in danger. Same thing is happening with the decomposers. Decomposers help in decomposing the dead bodies of the plants and animals. So they are acting as a cleansing agent. Okay, you cannot wear the same shirt for a 1 month. You need to clean it. So they are the cleansing agent of the environment. Decomposer also help in putting back the various elements of which the dead plants and animals are made up of back into the soil, air and water for reuse. That means they are the recyclable plants. They are the recyclable factories. They maintain the fertility of the soil, and the soil will continue to support the crops again and again and again and again. Otherwise, you will not have the food for us. Decomposer like a putrefying bacteria, fungi, decompose the dead plants and animal body into ammonia. We discussed that. Carbon dioxide. This ammonia is converted into nitrates by a nitrifying bacteria which is present in the soil. And these nitrates act as a fertilizer in the soil and again absorbed by the plants for their growth. This was only possible because we were having the decomposer. If the decomposer was not there, you will not get the ammonia, you will not be able to convert the nitrate, and then you will not have the fertilizer available for the soil. Fertilizer is like a complan for the plants. Okay, we need a complan. We need basically the food which is full of nutrients and minerals. Fertilizer is like that for the plants, for their good growth. Thus, it is only due to the presence of decomposers that the various nutrient element which were initially taken by the plants from the soil, air and water are returned to the soil after the death of the plants and animals. Fantastic creation of the nature. However, let's say there are no decomposer. What is going to happen? Dead bodies of the plants, okay? So, dead bodies of the plants and animals, dead bodies of the plants and animals would keep living, would keep lying as such, and the elements of which plants and animals are made would never be returned to their original pools like soil, air and water. Now what will happen because of that? The nutrients in the nature will start decreasing. For an example, as of now we are seeing that this is our supermarket, and we go take the food from supermarket and come back. Supermarket need to replenish the store na again. If we keep on doing this, supermarket will become empty after some time, and that's what is happening currently, because supermarket is not going to getting replenished. So the price will increase here. Now in this case, what is going to happen? These decomposer are returning back the nutrients to the soil and water, but if they are not there, this cyclic process of life and death will be disrupted. This is because in the absence of decomposer, the soil, air and water would not be replenished by the elements from the bodies of the dead organism. All the nutrients present in the soil, air, water would soon be exhausted, and the evolution of the life come to an end. We will not have any kind of evolution in the nature. Thus the decomposer organism help in recycling the material in the ecosystem so that the process of our life may go on and on and on like an unending chain. They are the very, very key elements or the key people, okay, or key organisms in our entire chain. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. So if they are not there, then there will be a lot of problems. Okay.
We'll go extinct.
Yes. Finally, we will not be there. That's correct. So I think we will stop till here. And so we have discussed the primary consumers, producer, and decomposers. In the next class, we will discuss like how the energy is getting flow upon. What are the different kinds of systems are available in the nature? How they interact with each other. Okay. How the
So
energy
that
flow happens.
10% rule.
Pardon?
Lindemann.
The 10% rule.
Yeah, we will also discuss that 10% rule and other things. Okay.
Andaman Lindemann.
Yes. Okay. So fine. And please keep doing that pair of linear equation thing. Okay. Because next week, next Sunday, we will have the test for that. It will be longer test, slightly difficult. So make sure you do all the questions.
So you always say it's difficult, but it's easy.
We will see this time.
Because we
Yes.
use our brains.
Okay. So